most of the pre-stream setup seems to have worked. That whole counting down thing might need a little bit more work. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. This is going to be Devember day 8th. And oh, crunkety crunk, I forgot to plug in uh, my watch here, and I should probably do that, or I'm not going to have enough juice in it for it to wake me up in the morning, right? Yeah, we're down to like 8%. So here's a thing that I have had set up for forever, but not quite in this particular fashion, that I've never really had a chance to use in any of these streams. I'll be right back. Beauty. Oh, that totally works. And my watch is totally in the charger. All right, let's spin that back and go one more time. Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Odan Nerd here. Welcome to Devember's live stream for Devember, whatever day it is, Devember 8th. I can't tell. I just put my watch in the charger, and that's the only way I can tell what the actual date is. We got some fun action, theoretically, going on tonight. I've been chomping at the bit to be doing some stuff here in the package, but I wanted to wait until the live stream to actually play around with some of it. You know, if you watch the devlogs for the weekend days, I tend to not have a whole lot of time to do uh, Sublime type things in reality, and no matter what they have to be, or Cody type things on weekends, because that's the time that we spend together as a family and do other things. So on those days, my time is really constrained to that 1 hour. So I can't sometimes they never really get a heck of a lot done there. But we did get some nice stuff done yesterday, including if yesterday was the day, I believe it was, some actual data spinners down in the status bar area of the window. So that was cool. We can actually see what's going on here now. So, time to move on a little bit more with some development. And I have one definite thing that I would, pardon me, like to do. Um, and after that, we'll just see what happens. But I kind of like how we've been going sort of long on these streams for the last little while here. So let's go ahead and jump into a shocking display. Hey, hello, fellas, Blind X fanatics. Odat Nerd here. Welcome to Devember Day 8th stream proper. And we can see here that my color scheme's background is a little funky. This is what it normally looks like. And this is the standard background color for Mariana, which, of course, is the new color scheme default in Sublime Text 4, because it has a little bit better scope coverage than Monakai does, which is the older one. And because people tend to, expect their color schemes to look the way that they want them to look, it was decided to swap this to be this. Now, I don't necessarily like this as a color myself, but just because it seems a little bit too washed out to me, if you will. The contrast between the background and the foreground is a little bit too light, a little too milky, a little too foggy, for a lack of better term. So normally what I run is this, and the normal background color is blue 3. So I just modify it to have a 5% drop in brightness, which gives it just that little bit extra. Now, the one problem that I find with this is that Mariana is also the default color scheme in Sublime Merge as well. So this gets the exact same color scheme as text does if we were to, pop these things side by side. it automatically inherits. Those two colors are the same, which is, more or less exactly what you want for something like this, except that um, some of the pop-ups like this, you, it probably doesn't come across in the stream. This is where the boundary of this is, but these colors are so close to each other. Some of these panels sort of fade into themselves. And yes, hello Ashwin. We have some bot commands. There's only a couple in there for right now. Let's see. One of the things I wanted to do during Devember was kick the stream game up a little bit. So there's a couple of things in there, and theoretically on a timer, it should splop out some other information. We'll see where we go from there. That was today's thing. Well, that, and I tried again to compile the latest version of OBS because last time I tried it didn't work that great. It was throwing up a funky link error, and I actually had to modify the code to get it to compile. I had to make a variable static to stop the linker from being confused. Actually compiled, actually linked, seg faults as soon as it launches. So hopefully they still got some more work going on in that thing. But that being said, the other thing that I've done here, and if you were watching in the early bits, the start of stream, the end of stream, and also the intermission thing, which I never really had to use until just a couple of minutes ago, look kind of the same as they did before, but the text is sort of animated now. I need to do better on that, possibly with an HTML animation of some sort, because each one of those videos is those things right now is actually a video, which is kind of huge, but. We're trying to kick the stream game up, from 0 to maybe a half or 1 or something along those lines. Oh, let me just double check here. For my live stream or my dev blogs, I have been throwing uh, merge into up and down diff mode just to make sure that everything can fit nicely on the screen, and that really irritates me to actually have to look at diffs that way. Ditto having the sidebar turned off in the general case. But if you've been following the devlogs, we have a fair bit of stuff done since the last stream. I fixed some stupid bugs, changed some data things. So yeah, okay, that's probably there's Sunday. So Monday, um, I have no explanation for this. Why it? I thought that in order to get at the cache path, I should look in the packages path and then go down a folder, which kind of a dumb thing to do because there's actually just a cache path thing. It's been there for like 100 builds or more. I have no idea why I forgot that that was actually there, and I'm not entirely sure that this works in all versions of Windows because I think the cache folder is in the non-roaming part of the profile, whereas the packages folder is in the roaming part of the profile. Lord knows what that might have been doing up until now. I mean, it worked for me, so I got that going on. And I also stopped myself from stupidly trying to close tabs in my YouTube views. And I managed to fix the syntax. I realized after the stream what stupid thing that I did there. What Ashwin says, based on your busy spinner devlog, it's Sublime Lib that provides a helper for implementing spinners. Yeah, they have an implementation of that in there, but the thing that reminded me of that in override audit, I have one built in because I don't use any other part of Sublime Lib, and pulling in an entire dependency just for a spinner was something that I didn't want to do. Also, override audit spinner predates that by a fair bit, but I was reminded of that because there was an issue recently where someone, so I couldn't quite remember who it was who did it, so they came up with a version that didn't need a thread in order to run. And I looked into that, and it turned out that, yeah, that's kind of like what I was already doing, just using a set timeout call. Only my display of the spinner was a little bit different. And in override audit, I have a special background worker thread base class that I use for all the threads that I split off for generating a report or doing diffs, because those are all things that can take non-zero time. They all have one common base class, and they all automatically create a spinner. So in override audit, I made the spinner actually, you give it a thread when you create it, and it just keeps going until it notices that the thread's not alive anymore. But for this, we're not really doing that, so I swapped it to the idea that Well, a blend of what I had and the idea that it could be a context manager, which is, I didn't realize that it was actually so easy to implement one of those. That's the first time I ever did anything like that. I mean, I assume what I have in there is actually working, but well, I mean, it works for me, but I don't know if there's more stuff that you technically need to do. The tutorial I found said, hey, check this out. 2 lines of code, boop, boop, and we're good to go. And then, of course, I also did some work on the syntax here as well. And if you were like watched back the live stream where I was fiddling with that, trying to get the first line to be special and then still also have time codes in it, perhaps you cringed as much as I did when I realized that the problem that I was having was that I was putting the Metascope thing in the wrong place, which is why it wasn't doing what I expected it to. And then I just went ahead and added some variables because hey, variables are cool. So that's the stuff that we've been going with now, and it actually seems to work quite well, itchy ears notwithstanding. So I'm going to close that. I was playing with colors here a little bit because my face goes down in this panel in this side of the corner of the window here, and I'm constantly pointing at stuff in here and then forgetting that my face is in the way. And then nobody can see what it is that I'm actually looking at. I had this idea for a plugin while I was walking the dog. What if I had an event listener for detecting when tabs are being moved around so that if anything was in group two, it would apply a different color scheme that had a little bit of a more of a red background to remind me. That's why I had this color scheme going here. I was playing around with versions of red that weren't too bright and in your face that would remind me, hey, don't be like such an idiot. Uh, Probably more work needs to go into that, or maybe I could just not be so dumb about that particular thing. But we'll go ahead and stick this. Well, I should just do that the easy way, couldn't I? Stick it back to the way that I originally had it. The thoughts, the weird thoughts that occur to you when you're just sort of wandering around, walking your dog. Um, so what we're gonna try to work on first, there's our spinner getting uploaded videos. Cool, cool. Um, is this. I want to do to this panel what we did to browse command list to have a little bit more stuff going in here. I'm not entirely sure exactly how we want to lay this out, but I'm thinking this would be the video name. This could be a view count and thumbs up and thumbs down, and then a clickable link down here. Hello, sir. Welcome to the stream. You didn't oversleep this time, I see. Exciting things have been happening here. I managed to successfully integrate a chat bot from Stream Elements into the channel, although it remains to be seen whether it's actually going to do its timer things or not. And for some reason, over here in this other window where I have a new control panel for Stream Elements, it thinks the chat's offline, even though observably the chat is not offline. And I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. But hey, small mercies, right? Um, to the end of what it is we're actually going to be working on here, I plunked out the browse plugin. And one of the things I added was this. I was sort of playing around with Unicode emojis that I could use for things. Unfortunately, there's like no thumbs up and thumbs down, but there is this sort of point up and point down, but there's not a solid version of them. So that's no good. And then I thought maybe I want a smiley face and a happy face for upvotes and downvotes, but the smiley face is super tiny and the sad face is gigantic, and there doesn't seem to be a larger smiley face, at least in the reference that I was looking at. So that seems kind of crazy. And then you can also get the smiley face being a darker color, which would be cool, but there's no corresponding frowny face, again, that I could see. But perhaps the resource I was looking at was kind of funky. Then I thought maybe we want some sort of heart, but there wasn't a broken heart. So thoughts are check marks for people that thumbed it up and X's for people that thumbed it down. Um, and maybe the check boxes for or the ballot boxes for checked and unchecked, which is something that I've used in a previous thing. Maybe them being transparent like that isn't that big of a deal, uh, depending on where they're used, but that of course remains to be seen. And we need to come up with some stuff for these things as well, which is why I have the adaptive theme open. Because I'm thinking in the list of videos, we should have a character along the left-hand side. And I'm thinking videos can be private, public, and unlisted. So maybe we want a P over there for a private video, which would use one of the kinds that displays reddish. I had them here a second ago, like say kind function. Um, Perhaps could be that so that that label shows up in red, and then public videos wouldn't maybe have a character at all, but they could be displayed in green because there, I think there was a greenish one in here to let you know those are things that are public, and then yellowish for unlisted videos, which aren't technically private, but they're unlisted videos are of course videos that if you happen to know the link, you can totally view them if you want. But whereas a private video, you need to be invited, and even then, that's never really seemed to work for me. All of those three things completely break the idea of what these three different types of kinds are supposed to be for. And we're totally breaking the rules by deciding on one that's reddish and one that's yellowish or greenish based on the adaptive theme, because that could be different for anybody. But the idea of at least the three of them have some sort of distinguishing colors amongst the three of them while you're looking at the channel list or the play the playlist contents, I guess is what we would probably call that. Seems like it would be cool. So I have the navigate command open because the last time I worked with something like this was over here in this. So clearly we need some action for those things as well. And if we were to be looking at that, what would that be? List videos. Now here's we got an itchy thing there. Aren't all of all of my Sublime videos are public? Yes. If we did this, some of them are not. Some of them are unlisted. For example, this is an unlisted video because it used to be linked from my homepage as an example of things, but I don't want it to show up. This one might be unlisted or private because I was just doing various tests. There's a few in here. Like, for example, this one where I was testing out probably the lower thirds that are in this thing right here. I'd like to, and there's also a Yosevka test in here, or maybe that's in the other channel. Whenever I fiddle around with what the display of something is going to be like in a video, like the text at the bottom or changing the colors of my lower thirds that swoop in and out, or changing the font, or it's as videos have gone on, if you watch them from way back to beginning to present, I should say, hopefully the quality is sort of on the upward trend. Like I got better lights, so it's not so dark behind me, and I went from using one type of font to a smaller type of font in a panel to only using panels for quick pop-up notes and having that larger bit of scroll up text, having bigger banners and with different fonts in them, and recently trying to make things more visually interesting by cutting more to a full screen of me when I'm talking instead of just an empty window if I don't have any text that I want to throw in there. I think that just sort of helps with engagement as well. Precariously close at this point to hitting the stage where I could theoretically monetize. So whenever I do one of those sorts of things, I generally create a small little test video and upload it to see what it will actually look like on YouTube. Is it going to have some sort of scaling artifact? Because everything, the nice thing about the software that I use is that it captures basically lossless video. There's absolutely zero distinction between PNG screen capture of the screen and the video recording that is there. So, well, my laptop in the other room just went to sleep. So everything tends to look quite nice while I'm working on it, and I want to make sure that it actually, does something. And also, I guess theoretically, someone else might want to use this thing, right? Um, So yeah, there are a couple. There's a couple of private ones too. There's actually more of those on this channel than the other one because I did a lot of stream tests. And when I changed my font, I wanted to make sure that it was going to be visible in streams. Now, something that occurs to me is that there's two places where Show Quick Panel is actually displaying the contents of a video thing. There's this one in List Videos, mm, where all it does is give you the link to the thing so that you can actually view it. And then there's Details, where it shows you the same list, only it actually opens one up. What's in this one? This is one of those times I was totally testing a live stream. So you can see these videos have a whole lot of nothing in here. But one of the things that I fixed was this. So time codes can totally go in there now. And these actually work. So boop. So that was sort of an exciting day. And I can't close those by accident anymore, which is also nice. So those two things are both displaying things in that window. And I'm assuming, we want them to both look the same. So we probably want to abstract away the part of this that's actually displaying the quick panel into a helper method so that both of them can use the same code. Because, as I always say, if you copy and paste code, it has a bug in it. There's just no way around that. And woe be to you if you copy and paste code even inside the same file before you've vetted it as you're getting something ready to go. If you tape one line and you think, yeah, that line looks good, but I need to do this 5 times, I'll just copy all 5 of them. Yeah, there's something wrong with that line. It's just the law of averages. You're going to be so unhappy when you realize it and you have to fix them. Although the ability to have multiple cursors in Sublime does make that a little bit easier than it used to be in the old days, if you will. So I think we probably want something in here. Let me size this panel down somewhat. Do we have a little more stuff to be able to see over here? There's the busy spinner class. Yeah, I looked at the one that was implemented in not Sublime Lib, but I think the LSP, because there was a mention of the person that I couldn't remember if it was our walls or Rafat or who it was who mentioned it, which is where I also noticed that basically these 4 lines here is all that it takes to do a thing. Whoops, pardon me. But I kind of forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, they have a couple of different ways to do it. One in the status bar and one as a status message, which I guess is okay. One of the things that this has to do, and this is stuff that totally was ripped right out of override audit. Even the names of the variables here are the same. You notice there's a lot of this that's identical to that one. Is that when you use set status, it's those things are view specific. So if you set the status in this one, then you switch to another view, it's not there anymore. So every time this thing ticks over, it has to erase the status in the tick view if that's not the same one. So if the spinner started here and then I switched the focus, when this flips around, it erases the status from that one so that it can start tracking it in this one so that the focus follows you around. Which I find to be nicer than trying to display a continuous status message, because those can't be animated and they time out. I guess it would probably do the same sort of thing. I haven't really played with it, but I already had this one working. So let's say we need another one of. No, I should have did that. Oh wait, no, I don't do that for these, do I? No, I don't. Pardon me. I just put them here. Now what we're going to need here is videos and let's say a callback. Given a list of video information, prompt the user with a quick panel to choose an item. The callback will be invoked when, hello, Ben. It is going well so far, theoretically. Everything seems to be working more or less well. I mean, this thing over here still thinks there's no chat. I'm not entirely sure what the deal with that is, but you can only fight technology so much. Streamlabs seems to be totally dedicated towards streaming on Twitch and not streaming on YouTube. So I'm kind of surprised that it works at all. Every time I go back to the web page, I have to re-authenticate the channel, and then Google gets all freaked out that I'm giving access to the channel to someone. So that could probably be a little well better defined as well. Worked with the Maybe we'll hold off on that for a second. So we want to basically replicate the logic that both of these two things are doing because they're doing the same thing. They have, they're kind of sort of doing the same thing. Yeah, right. For now, they're doing the same thing. Good. Which is kind of an important thing. There's a list of items that has the video title and the other item in there is the link for the video, which gets displayed under it, thusly, for that. So, and then this would get invoked with the thing. So I guess what we probably want is to just invoke this method, the select video, with the actual list of videos that were returned from the query. And then this thing can do all of the work of figuring out what parts of that it actually wants to use. This doesn't have to do this weird sort videos thing, which is nice because that's kind of crunky. And if that wasn't in there, it wouldn't have to be exported out of this utils thing at all. I think these two commands are the only things that are currently using it. And in that case, the callback could be an object that is one of the items in that list that's the one that was picked, or none, right? And then it can go ahead and do what it wants to do, which seems like a kind of a good way to go. The callback will be invoked with a single parameter. That's not spelled right, is it? No, it is not. Not if the user canceled the selection, or and then there's the thought of doing this in an list input handler. What does that buy us? The ability to use a preview area underneath, which technically I suppose we could probably do with a pop-up if we wanted that sort of action, which might be a nice little thing to play. That might be an interesting thing. I don't know that I've ever done that before. For the video the user selected. Is that enough for that to work? Probably. Oh, let's clear all this crunk out of here. Wow, something got unhappy. Oh, the package dev color scheme syntax a little unhappy about the CSS package having changed. If we close that, no one will ever know. Okay, so we're going to get a list of stuff. I mean, the easiest thing to do is something like this, right? If we do this in the method by which we have this thing work the way that that does the exact same thing as this, and then we can augment this as later. And Ashwin says, I think list input handler may unnecessarily add more complexity. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Primarily because I really like the way the quick panel can show you more lines for each, as opposed to having the preview area at the bottom that's sort of closer to where you are, especially since the reason for doing this is to add things like view counts and thumbs up and thumbs down to the list and such. So I kind of like this for that reason. But it's actually one of the side projects on the giant whiteboard of stuff that I'd like to do, which is take some of the override audit commands that use a quick panel and make them use a list input handler instead, because that wasn't the thing back when I wrote them. It's sort of a slippery slope though, because one of the things that you can do in override audit is uh, the thing where you can hierarchically decide to open up a particular package. Apparently, I have an override on this. One of the things I want to do in here is actually have this have an O on the side to let you know instead of having to annotate it there, which I was never really a fan of. But there was never a way to have more than one line or more information than this without having a second line, and it seemed weird to have a second line for every file in a package if none of them have an override. For this sort of functionality, I think a quick panel is superior, but there was a couple of other things where it seems like the other way might be a little bit better. I would probably do something like this. If I move that up, please don't do that. If, oh, actually, maybe this doesn't even need to be one of those things, does it? Theoretically, we wanted to say return none if idx is equal to -1 else items index, right? So actually, that's not what we want to. We want to call back it, don't we? Yeah. Kind icons and list input handler may be useful for adding that. Yeah, that's not a thing, is it? I don't think that it is. It would be cool if it was, though. For similar reasons, yeah. If for no other reason than it makes, packages like LSP that want to provide more contextual information have a little more functionality at their disposals, I guess. Oh, yeah, one of the other things I fiddled, I don't know that it's actually going to be present in here, and I can't remember. I mentioned it in one of my, is it in here? No. I augmented the color scheme rule that I use to glow things because methods with underscore in them, like these, uh, weren't considered for glowing, only regular things. And it just suddenly occurred to me while I was looking at this. Hello, Will. You heard him, Ashwin. Open an issue. We'll get all of the things in. Oh, yeah, that totally reminds me. I never did the issue for the other thing either. Here, let's see. In this file, these are the symbols that exist, which is cool. And then I might say, I want to go to the lib file. And okay, now it's working. The other day I was noting that when I did this, although it was showing a preview of the file, it was still picking the symbols from the original file. But I was unable to, I forgot to, I was going to look and see if there's actually an issue tracked for that. It seems like something that would be obvious. But clearly it doesn't always happen, and I don't know why. So more work has to happen there. Is that where I was? Yes, that was where I was. And that is less interesting at the moment. We were fiddling with this particular file. We don't actually need to return none. We actually need to Can you do this way? Can you say callback none if this, else callback? Is this valid Python code? I don't know that I've ever tried that before. I guess if you return it, it would totally work, right? Whoops, that's not the right key. Yeah, that's hardly ugly at all. Hmm. Oh, I don't like that. Let's do it that way. It's totally important for commented out things to be commented out in a specific way. Um, okay, now that I did that, I guess I actually have to do something with it, huh? What was the actual thing there? This one. Do, do, do. We'll put it up here. Pardon me. Ashwin says, I always thought the at and goto symbol needs to occur as the first character for it to work. Now, yeah, that's totally one of the cool things for being able to zoop around in a file. To be able to say, I want to look at this symbols in this file and jump there directly. And you can, use that to peek at something and be like, oh yeah, right, that's how I implemented that. Cool. And then you push escape and you're back where you were. I'll see. I'll see if I can reproduce what I was doing there. Fortunately, I have a recording of what it was I was doing at the time. I was also flustered because I was making a really idiotic mistake in my syntax definition at the same time. So, Lord knows what I did there. But I kept being confused that it kept showing me just main as a symbol even when I jumped into the Python file. But I can't remember what the exact situation was there. Okay, that seems to work. That's cool. So in theory, oh, I implemented the thing that was the thing. That's kind of fun. Implement that there. Still cool. Right on. Ben says, why not make the callback on the outside? You mean boop, outside of the call to select video, do you mean? Or I part of the reason for this is that the list of videos the list of things that comes in is going to be manipulated inside of here. So it seems like if I wanted to send the selected thing back out, it's easier to tell it exactly what thing it was, because otherwise it would have to sort the list before it passes it in. Sort of my reasoning there. But I am prepared to be proven wrong. I'm married after all. Fortunately, my wife doesn't watch my live streams. Um, so theoretically, none of this is here. And this would say select video result and lambda, like say like this. All of this stuff goes away. We put enough brackets on this to stop that from being unhappy. That totally reminds me that someone was asking me earlier why it is that the JSON syntax that's built in supports comments, because he was mightily confused that he had stuff that seemed to be valid, but then when he plugged it into various tools, it kept choking on it and he couldn't figure out why. You can Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that totally seems like a much smarter way to do that now that you point that out. I was sort of stuck in my head with how I was originally going to have this return of value that would be called at the call point inside of the lambda instead. But yeah, I like the cut of your jib. I'll just erase this line and this bit. And be unhappy that let's turn spell checking off because that's kind of irritating. There. That's probably right, right? Cool. All right. So now this is going to get a video, and it can say if Unfortunately, this part is the part where it kind of goes all bee's knees. We presumably need to pull something like this out of it instead. Whoops. I did this in list videos, right? I made a change to this that actually made it, ooh, look at that. I did something stupid, didn't I? I made a change that actually makes the, hey, yay, the bot timer works. Way cool. I made a change to make the downloading the list of videos remarkably fast because it turns out one of the things that you can provide in there is how many items to get at a time, and it defaults to a ridiculously small number. So I bumped it up to the maximum, and fetching the list of videos took fraction of a second. And then I did the thing where we actually need some details on those videos, and the fetching of the videos in the list doesn't have enough information. So now it's all slow again. But we are actually in a position to get this a little bit better. Utils. Oh, I totally broke it over here. Do. Oh, I suppose if you're going to copy and paste, you should change the names of variables, huh? Let's try that again. Boo. Ah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that did used to be a thing, didn't it? Or should it take the window to display it in? I mean, that doesn't seem strictly necessary. Wait, is the yeah, cool. Is the history for the command palette specific to a view? That was weird. I can swear that it was slightly different there. Okay, so that's going to be a lot nicer. We don't need any of that. We don't need any of that. Do. We need something. Oh, we don't need stored videos here anymore, right? So let's clean that part up. We definitely don't need that part. Let's turn that off. Jump over to the details, because this is going to be very similar, right? Oh, what did we actually do there? Copy that, because hang on a second. Shut up, Zoom. I don't need you blasting me in the face from the side. That's just blinding. There. I've been logged out of Zoom for inactivity. Okay. That's better. And actually put the focus in the correct place. Assume that's all going to be exactly the same as it was before. And it calls select video. Where's select video in this one? Down there at the bottom. We can go ahead and steal that too, I presume. Doop. Oh, actually, let's do this. Copy that and slightly different. Slightly different. Trying to remember what exactly this thing was doing. That is different than that. Oh no, did I paste something into two places? Oh, that's unfortunate. Let's try to be less dumb about that, shall we? I assume that looks something like that. Okay, let's see. I don't remember this being. Oh, right. It was doing that because the thing that's stored in the command palette, the items that it's picking is the actual link, and it needs to split the ID off of the end, right? So that is entirely unnecessary. And we just need to put this up here. Did that actually work? How did that actually, it wouldn't have actually worked, right, if I picked it because of that. Let's go ahead and fix that particular issue. I was more concerned with actually having the list populate something in that particular case. So we don't need to do that. Getting video details for that seems to be all that would happen. Right, I guess this is organized this way so that all of the requests float to the top. Oh, we also need to import that symbol. What do we actually call it? Select video. And that's not actually used anymore. We only need this. Nice. And we doing that over here? That's not the file we were looking at. Oh, I guess that was the file we were looking at. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I'm thinking of this thing. We still need that. And then we still need that, but we don't have sort videos in here. Is this actually used anywhere but here? In the init, in utils. Why is it in here? He said, knowing that it's because he copied and pasted an import line from somewhere. Oh, I have a question for you guys, since you happen to be actually in the stream. Clearly this works slightly different under Linux than it does under Windows, in as much as there's not a little box at the bottom for the types of files that you've told it to display. When I trigger this, I trigger it for files of the particular extension, which does go into the list on Windows, but it always picks all files by default, and then you have to go down and manually click and move it down. Is there a way to have that not happen? I don't have a good example of that here, unfortunately. I was also confused the other day that there was a dialog that actually had a file type over here because I've never seen it in the GTK3 thing, but I assumed that that one was doing something special on its own. That's just sort of a thing I was curious about, but not curious enough to, ask at any given point. And it was probably the middle of the night when I discovered that particular thing. I'm going to remove sort videos from here. Probably should have done that in a smarter way, huh? I don't think we want to actually export that. And I think we probably want to move it up here. And do a little bit of this. I was never comfortable with having that actually be exposed, I gotta say. Theoretically, let's give it the full acid test of a full quit and restart, just to make absolutely for sure. Okay. One of the things that was added, probably not during a live stream, I think it was one of the regular days, was actually outputting all of the stuff into the panel there. Pick that, and it, all right. Uh, what did I do here? Takes the video ID. Okay, that's what that is. Is video a list accidentally? Because I don't think that should be the case. Ah, that spinner is so nice to actually know that it's doing a thing. Oh, I see. Let's fix that and go to oh, yeah, I see what I did there. Is the array sort method the one that does it in line to the list? It is, right? And you use sorted to return a new one. We have the technology. Sorts the list in place. Right on. Okay. We'll move this back over here to that. Ben says, for your question, there's definitely a way to do it with the current Windows API as we call, but it would need some additional dialog options. Yeah. That's what I sort of figured was the case. But, I did it like wrong 5 times before I actually got it to do anything at all, because I was testing it on Linux where the GTK dialog box doesn't have that kind of information, at least as far as I'm aware. It's always the sad maker. Ever since the distribution itself jumped to those new common file dialogues, I've been kind of unhappy with how less than usable they are. I think we want a little something like this, right? And frankly, now that I'm thinking about it, we don't actually need to do it that way because it's only happening in one place anyhow, right? So that's an even cooler way to pull that off, I guess. Um, want a little something like that. Or vid in videos. That's happy. Then we don't like that that's slightly too long, but we can do this. And that makes it nicer. This is still a little long. This could be videos. Of course, if we're going to sort the list in place, you could just return the index back and the thing that got it would know, right? So maybe we don't want to screw around with someone else's data. Although, the thing I don't know about this is I assume it doesn't like duplicate the contents of the thing in the new list, right? So it's still just a list of references of existing things. So that's probably not too terrible. I mean, from a memory perspective, thinking back on the glory days of working on an 8088 assembler language, the idea of allocating a little bit of extra memory, extra terrible, particularly if you had to work with pointers in C back in the days of segmented architectures and having to use magic APIs to get extended memory segments to be mapped if you had more RAM than that. Yeah, we just allocate half a megabyte buffer or a megabyte buffer and call it good because who cares? RAM is cheap as free these days. I think that will probably do a little bit more of what the actual spirit of that was. Now we have to fetch the videos again. We're fetching and fetching. We're blowing stuff up. Oh, I forgot the other argument. Huh. We're fetching again. I'm glad that my quota, for API things is 10,000 requests a day. I don't get anywhere near that. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Still, oh, did I comment the, oh, did it actually copy this to the clipboard though? It did. Yay. Oh, I guess one of the things I was doing was a print statement in there that said that it was doing that, huh? But not in that one. Down in this one. I guess we probably want to keep that so that we can actually tell that it's doing something. Man, that inline diff stuff is nice. Link is equal to make video link for video ID. And then this can set the clipboard to link and link. Come on, man. Looking good. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, boop. And incidentally, the end card template is an example of a video that's private because you technically don't need to see that in my channel lineup. It's just a little static image that has end cards associated with it. Okay. That seems to be doing exactly what we might like here. Cool. Maytail says, I have an idea to build a web app like Code Academy to starting data coding, so please bless me up. Well, consider yourself blessed, sir. Sorted, so to speak. Did you mean like Code Academy? I've never actually used Code Academy. I've only heard of it. Whoops. I apologize for bumping the mic. Trying to keep myself hydrated here. All right. We got that working. That means this then should work the way we expect it to, right? Get video details for introduction to hyperhelp, and boop, that totally works. Sweet. Okay. Can't close that. Can close that. So that is the first stage of what it is that we wanted to do here. So let's take a look at what we actually ended up with. And these things. We replaced sort videos with select video. Okay, that sounds like something I intended to do. We removed sort videos and made a select video. That sounds like something we intended to do. We removed that because it never needed to be there in the first place. I'm a fan of that. Sort videos was removed for select video. Playlist contents is now one line instead of four, and select video is a lot cleaner too, so I'm pretty happy with that. Sort videos and make video link go away because this doesn't need to make the link anymore. The playlist contents item needs to just call select video, and the code for doing stuff down here, if we were to look at that one just to see everything in context, yeah, it's a lot smaller as well. It gets the video that it's interested in fetching more data for. So we kind of like that. And let's say refactor initial quick panel, for example. Boop. And we'll go ahead and swap back. And I will fix that commit message later before I push this thing up. Okay, now what was the actual next part of this thing? Actually doing something with this. So what are the things that we actually want to have in here? Is the question of the day. Let's say we want to have the view count and likes and dislikes. And I have some example things here that I pulled out. For fetching the full video details for something, this is the basic things you can get. You can collect snippet, content details, status, and statistics. If you get video details for statistics, you can end up with informations like this: how many comments there are. That might be interesting to put in there. How many times it's being viewed, how many times it's been liked and disliked. I'm going to guess based on that this is one of the Terminus videos. Yeah, the Terminus videos are the most watched videos on the channel. So we definitely want statistics out of this thing in order to display what we want. We need to know the privacy status because we want to know if it's public or not, and I don't think that's displayed anywhere else. If we wanted to display the length of the video, we could do that, or know if it's high def or not, whether it's 3D or not, whether it has captions, if it's how it's rated in various countries, whether it's a 360-degree video. Theoretically, the only part of this that is interesting is this, which is a time code of 29 minutes, 6 seconds. And isn't that a funky way to have a time represented? But there's actually apparently an ISO spec for that sort of thing. So let's say we want the title. Let's say we actually want the description so we can pull the first sentence out and display it in a pop-up or something. We don't necessarily care about thumbnails, I would imagine. Channel title, don't care. Tags, don't care. If we wanted to get the title of the video for display, which it seems like we do, we need the snippet, right? If we wanted any of that, we would get that. We don't. The content details isn't interesting, but status is in order to get this. Maybe even the date, but definitely we want to know whether it's public, private, or what have you. And we want that. So sadly, we basically want everything but content details here, right? We want to get the snippet. Well, we want the ID so we can do that. That sounds like the right thing, yeah. There's also one for hours too. Heaven forfend I come up with a video on the channel that's not a live stream that breaches the hour barrier. Uh, that would be very unhappy indeed. I was kind of, it was sort of interesting that I saw that as a thing. It said, this is supposed to be a time code. Oh, I see. It's this number of minutes and seconds. I wonder what the PT is for. And then I looked it up and went, oh, an ISO spec. Okay. Then I read it and said, oh, that's what that's for. And then it completely fell out of my head immediately afterward because who cared? Okay, so we definitely want snippet. Oh, 8601, you were off by one. Still. For the sheer number of ISO specs that there are, which has to be at least 8,602, pretty good for plucking it within one of the actual number. Virtual kudos to you, I would say. One of the things that I did when I modified the request for getting playlist contents is you can specify, oh, I don't like that. The things you want. So there's two ways that you can work this. You can just provide it a part, and that'll be the information that it grabs. So it's open-ended. You can get whatever you like. Or if you want, you can set full details to true. And in that case, a little extra things happen. The first thing it does is fetch down content details, which is this one here. For reasons that, oh, sorry, this is for the playlist request. Pardon me. That's this one here. it pulls down only this information so that all you get to see is what the video ID is and when it was published. And then that's the only information that's returned. If that's the only thing you do, this is ridiculously fast to pull stuff down. But if you say you want full details, it does that first, and then it loops over things, grabbing the information from the part that you provide, which defaults to absolutely everything from video details here, so you can get a full picture of everything. Which I did as an eye towards the thing that we're trying to do right now. Or alternatively, you could just fetch a couple of things, which works good. And this is, I don't know if this counts. Ben, you asked the other day if they keep deprecating things out from under stuff. Uh, this request for getting video details, if you look in the official documentation, uh, it says that you can provide a single video ID, or you can provide a comma-separated list of video IDs. So I thought, well, hey, I can write a list comprehension like nobody's business to grab the video ID out of the content details of all of the things that were pulled down. And then I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out why it was throwing weird esoteric errors. And it turns out through trial and error that the reason for that is you can provide anywhere from 1 to 50 video IDs. 51 and more, it gives you an error that says your filter is invalid, which isn't the most helpful of things. What really clued me into that was that I tried it with a smaller example while I was stepping through things, and it worked, and then it stopped working. And then when I paid closer attention to the documentation, I noticed that a filter is, the section of the page that video IDs was in. It doesn't say that there's a limit, and it also specifically tells you don't provide the options that allow this to page. So I guess you're just not supposed to do this, or they figured someone will probably figure it out if they're smart enough, or I don't know, but it was really quite irritating. But the thing we want to provide here is part is the deal here. And so we would say a part equals a string. Now, what are the things we're actually going to need video detail wise for the stuff that we're pulling down? We're going to want to specify ID because we definitely need a video ID or we can't generate a link, and that appears to be the only way to pull that out. We want to have the title of the video, so we need to have the snippet as well. Those are two things we might actually want for this. This is probably enough to actually make what we have currently work, assuming I put a comma here. And this is still fairly slowish, but that should definitely still work, right? Yeah. This is the bit where, oh wait, I did that in the wrong spot, pardon me. This is supposed to go up in this bit where we request this. This is the one that's going to control what comes down. That was a close call. That would have been confusing as all get out. See, that's taking tick, 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 and then here's the stuff. But it still seems to have worked okay. But if I set this to false and we reload this, in order to, the time to taken to pull down all the list of videos is, all right, so you're going to be slow now just because I said that, huh? Anyway, it was like super fast previously. But it returns a very tiny amount of information. So we want the ID. I guess we kind of need to do this in both places, don't we? Yeah. This part's going here, and it's triggering on getting full video details. of stuff. So we want the ID, we want the snippet so we can get the title, but say that's the only information that we actually want for this. Just to test this, I guess, if we did this, just to make sure that I'm remembering how I did this, this should theoretically be unhappy and not display the list, I would have thought, because it doesn't have any access to the video title. If you told it to get the list of videos and you only asked it to fetch that, oh, sorry. If we told it to only fetch the ID and not to get the full details, then when we ask for the full list of things, it should get unhappy because it doesn't actually have a title, I would have thought. But it's still saying that, so maybe there's actually a bug in that code. That's interesting. Um, hmm. Let's chase that down first because I want to make sure that we're working from a known good thing here. Playlist contents. If request full details, request that. Otherwise, request the part from the request or that full list of stuff. Then it makes the request for the given part. And this grabs the information out of each of those things. It tells you how many items there are, which it did. 108 now, it was 107 before, but there was a new video out yesterday on the other channel, linked down below. If request full details, do this. So I guess realistically, the reason why this isn't doing what I'm thinking is because I'm a moron and I modified this one, but I was using the other one. So yeah, that totally blows up. Check out how fast it is to, if I reload this and use list videos, which is fetching down the full list, including all of the data, chug, chug, chug. We can see the spinner going down there and then it pops. And if you weren't to ask for all of those details, that's how long that takes for it to fail. And it's already failed down here because snippet isn't in the list of items. But if it was in the list of items, then it takes longer because it actually has to grab information, but it actually starts working again. So those are two things we need. We want the title of the video at least, and we want the ID of the video at least, so we can do that. But we also wanted to display some other information in here too. And let's see, I'm not downloading a bajillion thumbnails. The channel title is not interesting, and neither are tags for the purposes of this. So if we collapse that out and we don't care, and we collapse that out and we don't care, the title of the video and the description of the video localized for my local language, not entirely interesting. Content details, do we care about this? No, I don't think we, at the moment, need to point out how long my videos are in the channel. I very rarely care about that so much as the other information. Status is something that we want, so we should probably add status here because we want to get that upload status for processed and, the privacy status for public, unlisted, and private. This also fetches us some publish ad information if we cared about that. And we want statistics so we can get this information too. So, no, 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 no. That is the stuff that we want here, right? And, uh-oh. Well, we got to see an error, so that's cool. As error messages go, this leaves a lot to be desired. I would think. Use details, my friend. Otherwise, we're going to be unhappy. All right, so How did I fetch that in a get details request previously? Oh. Hmm. Oh. Why did I do that? This part should be that part. I'm guessing that's how I intended that to work. ID snippet content detail status, snippet content detail status, statistics down in yeah. I'm gonna roll with that. And we'll use list because we haven't modified that one yet, and we should see it hopefully still working. And details. That is not the correct video ID, my friend. That's intriguing. We better chase that down too. This is the actual ID of the thing. Did video details not specify ID? Sure looks like it did. And what was it using for video ID? It's using video ID. That's using VID. So, let's do this. Just so we can get a sense for what this thing is actually doing, because that is completely not what I would have expected to have occurred there. It has a snippet. Oi. Well, surely that ID is not the ID that a person actually wants. Which is weird because that's not what fell out of it when I did it this time. The actual video ID is now a resource ID inside of the snippet. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I think I'm doing that thing again. Title, thumbnails, high, low, width, blah, 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 max res, standard, standard, width, height, description, status. Look how much less information showed up in this one than this one. Because when I did it before, I ended up with that. And its ID is that. So that's sort of a weird turn of events. Why that would be the case. I guess because of that. But I mean, I would totally assume if that's on, it sort of short circuits that and works. We want that to be false. No, we don't want that to be false. We just want to specify the information that we're getting. So if that's the part that I provided right there, whoops, move that one over. If that's the part that I provided and that was what was actually being pulled out, instead of that, let's give this a little bit of a test, shall we? So if I reload this and said that the snippet we actually want is this, we ask for the video details and the link we get is still wrong. So that makes slight happiness happen because at least that means that it's doing something semi-correct. Except for the part where this doesn't seem to do what one might expect it to do. It asks for a minimum amount of data if you're asking for full data. Otherwise, it asks for more information. And that happens. If full details, this happens. But only this happens. And we have it set to false. So the thing that it's requesting is this. I guess because this is actually going to the playlist request and the other one is going to the other request. All right, so then we do in fact want this to be true in that case. Now I remember how my API works. Probably write a better comment on it though. We set that to true and give a part. What we're saying is we want all of the details of things and use that part to provide the information, which is this one down here. So instead of doing that, it's doing these ones, ID, snippet, and status. Those values still need to end up in the list of items. So I think we might need to make a slight modification to how this is working because there we go. Or maybe not. Probably should. Just thinking that the status details for this assumes that the title is there and that the video ID is in the top level thing, but it might not be. So maybe this needs to take a couple of extra strings that say what selector in the video gives you the title and what gives you the ID and default them to those, and then someone could modify them if they wanted to, right? Because the data that this thing actually gets to sort through could be slightly different. On the other hand, maybe we don't want to do this because the next thing we're going to do is modify this thing to display a bunch of information. So yeah, let's hold on that for the time being. Wishy-washiness being what it is, because we're going to need to specify in the API for this that certain information has to be available in the list of items that we're interested in, and those three things appear to be that so far. And let's see, that is going to grab the list of stuff. It's going to allow us to pick one in the select video item. So to keep this all over here, print JSON dumps video. Well, something like that, just so we can see what we're doing here. So when we grab these details and choose video, is that not how that works? Oh, shoot. Maybe this will work. Hoisted by our own petard, if you will. There we go. Well, clearly that's not going to work, but we get some nicer information here. So this is the information that we are currently snagging out for our purposes, which is going to give us the title that we want. Snippet.title is the thing that we want. We don't care about any of that, but we can't get it to not get that. We can get snippet.description. We can get status.privacy status. And the ID is still the top level ID. So for the time being, that's kind of what we want here. I'm going to jump that over there. Actually, let's do that the other way. Let's bring this one over here now, because we're going to need to grab a little bit of this kind of stuff here. Jump up to the top. And we want those. Paste from history is cool. Especially with this slide augmentation, it allows you to get a little bit more context into what it is that it's actually doing. Kind of want to display a pop-up with the whole text there now, but that's a thing for another day. Public unlisted video and private video. And let's say for public videos, we just have a space. For unlisted videos, we have a U. And for private videos, we have a P. Because there's going to be more public videos than anything else. So we really just want to call out the idea that some videos are unlisted and some videos are private. And then this is the bit where we start getting super duper hacky about stuff. In as much as I don't know what sort of the constrained kinds that are available, which one, if there's even a sense in logically trying to pick one over another when you're displaying something as wildly disparate as YouTube videos. So here we're kind of targeting these based on the fact that they'll display with different colors in the quick panel to provide a little bit of extra contextual information. And for purposes of that, this is the bit where I'd be like, functions are reddish in this. So for that reason, let's say we want function to be for private because, hey, that's the red keep out. And let's see, green means go. So let's say this one's snippet for public because, hey, they're green in this particular theme, which happens to be the one that I'm using. And this is really one of those packages that's kind of customized for my own use anyway. Although if somebody else could use this if they wanted to. This is also the sort of thing that could theoretically be configurable. And I don't know, what's a good color for unlisted videos? Yellow for caution. Someone can't necessarily see these things. Ashwin says he opened an issue for kind support and list input handlers. Oh, and Will says, I've definitely also considered having kinds that are color-based for such situations. That would definitely be cool. I mean, for my own selfish means, reasonably speaking. I did the same kind of thing when I was working in the syntax definitions for override audit because this, except for basically file names, there's not really a standard scope that applies to anything else that's in the document. So I needed to apply some kind of scope, and I wanted to pick a scope that would be colored by a thing so that it's easier to read the thing with colors. So because I use Monokai, I just happened to choose ones that were more or less defaulting to the color that I was interested in. Although I haven't gone back and fixed those because I wasn't really married to the idea that this should definitely be red. It just needs to be a color. And that was just the basis that I picked instead of just randomly choosing one. Yeah, yes, no selections, meaning that I've also kind of wished that color schemes had more markup type stuff, although I don't know what exactly. Like for example, if we pick get video details and pick something that definitely has some actual text in the thing, I want the first sentence of this, the first line of this, I should say, to have a slightly different color than the rest because it's special to the rest. But there's not really a markup scope for that. And I can't even imagine that, like, what would you even call the thing? There's some that sort of apply, but they end up making stuff like bold or orange, which was sort of too in my face for what I was going for. So I just randomly picked the thing for this. But um, yeah, the ish colors are like a cool new way to go with that. And I really enjoy that as a thing, especially since it allows you to. But you can't use those in a syntax, can you? Part of the issue that I was having, such as it is, was not wanting to force somebody to have a specific color scheme or generate some sort of color scheme override for things to work. Um, okay, that's just going to bug me if I don't fix it. So there's that. Let's copy these down here for the time being. But yeah, you make your, when you're like in the realms of modifying your text editor to do things that are entirely untext editor related, like allowing you to view and edit the descriptions of a YouTube video. I mean, that's kind of text editor related. It's text after all. We're really sort of off the beaten path for what was probably intended in the spirit of a lot of this stuff. Now I need to remember how this works. Right. We actually need more of this type of action, huh? Why did I do that with an append? That's let's let's uh let's duplicate that one so we can back stuff out. Do, do, do. I guess we want something like this, right? Whoops. Did I import that? Yes, I did. Let's do that here too. Do, do. Incidentally, when I was implementing the spinner the other day, I totally swiped the idea of using UUID4 as the way to get a unique key for the spinner, because in override audit, I actually had a special thing that could return you a random string in a thread safe way. I didn't realize that was actually built into the library. Uh, da, da, da. Quick panel item. Boop. Okay. Oh, that's an unfortunate turn of events. The first thing is name. That's going to be the name of the thing, right? So that would be the title of the video. Uh, Arguments are the part that's underneath. We'll just put the under parts there for a second. The next thing is the module that was to the right. So that, oh, I was thinking of putting the link there, but maybe we don't want to put the link there if we want the link to be clickable. Oh. And that probably doesn't need to be a string per se. And then we could say kind public, let's say, for example. Is that going to do something that makes us happy? Now it doesn't necessarily matter which one of these we choose, theoretically. Oh, maybe it does. because I changed how things work. Oh, because that needs to be a string. Whoops. My bad. That is not how that worked, is it? No, it's not. It's one of those days. It kind of feels like Monday. Tick, tick, tick. All right, so that's doing a thing. Nice, nice. The videos were private. We should see the P in the red. Looking nice. That calls out that that's totally private-y. And we modify that one more time just to verify that we chose the correct things. Unlisted. Video details. Oh, I didn't actually modify that one, even though I looked up a thing. That was kind of, what did I think? Yellowish. Navigation. I should probably fix it in the one that actually makes sense, right? I picked the wrong one. And orange. Well, I guess that's sort of based on this color scheme not having too many yellow colors in it. I can dig it. I got to fix that again, though. Alrighty. We'll recomment those things because there's going to be a little bit more action here. Unfortunately for me, I don't remember what those things are. So, do I have a tab here anywhere? Stream Element still thinks that the chat's disconnected, by the way. That's kind of funky. Also, I'm pretty sure that that timer bot thingy should have been plunking out the time more than it currently is. On the other hand, this thinks that I'm the only participant in the chat right now, too, so we can only do so much. Is this the one? This is the one. Oh, I actually already had one over here, didn't I? I did. Yeah, I'll put that one back. I safely plunked another one out here. Video, list. And one of the things is status way down here. It's supposed to be, oh, sorry, that's, I thought that was the, oh, is it in here? Yeah, there we go. Private, public, unlisted. Automated commands work. Maybe they're supposed to it's supposed to on a timer plunk out the link to the code and a reminder that you could totally ask a question that's completely unrelated to what's going on. I've only seen one of those actually happen so far, and it's supposed to happen on a timer. But I'm not entirely sure what the magic is there. Maybe it only triggers if there's tons of active chat or something. Private, public, unlisted are the values that we're going for here, so that ought to be fairly simplistic to pull out. Private would be private, public would be kind public, and unlisted would be kind unlisted. What do we actually want here? Status.privacy status, and something like that instead of this, so that it pulls it out of a map instead. Incidentally, since someone, I can't remember who it was, asked ways back about a way to donate, and PayPal wasn't a thing that was possible, uh, that page that was just linked there should have a tip thing that theoretically allows you to do the same thing, but I'm not sure if it uses PayPal behind the scenes or if there's another way to do it. Uh, but while I was in the vicinity trying to poke other things, I figured, what the heck? I can click a button, especially since the Stream Elements people are some of those people that have the, you know what you should do? You should do this. And they just keep telling you over and over and over again until you do it to shut them up. Well, that looks like it worked. The end card template is entirely private because no one needs to see that. For a second there, I thought that said the underpants instead of the underparts. Um, uh, that one's just a regular video. Those ones are unlisted. So yeah, you can totally see how many of those there actually are. There's a few unlisted things in here, mostly I say those little testy things. Um, this one's unlisted because it's the one that plays on my channel if you're not subscribed. That doesn't seem like it needs to be in the general list of videos except for people show up at the channel. And then by and large, as Ashwin pointed out, most of the stuff in here is in fact public videos. Lots and lots and lots of public videos. So let's say we actually want the link to go in the underparts instead, or the underpants, if you will. Um, and these things support, that supports it anyway. Uh, mm, yeah. The righty parts. I mean, there's a name for it, but now that part could actually be a link now, right? Do, do, do. Fun. This video is private, even though it's my video, but I'm logged in right now to YouTube as my live stream user on this machine. But yeah, that totally works. I'm not entirely convinced that I'm super happy with the visualization of that. in so much as links are kind of ugly. Can these things display hover tool tips? I don't think they can they? This can, theoretically. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Hard to tell that this one's a public video because there's not anything to hover on top of, but you can kind of get it from context, I would say. This is kind of crunky. Let's see. Use, and then we might say the title attribute is not implemented on basic inline mini HTML. Oh yeah, I never even thought of applying a title on that thing. The quick panel is looking good. I wish there was a way to change the colors of kind icons from the API, which would override what's defined in the theme. Well, if, like Will said, if there were ones that were designed to be specific colors, I guess that doesn't give you the full universe of things, but that doesn't bother me so much, primarily because I'm fairly awful at designing anything that looks good. uh, and I'm going to stick these in here. The sublime way to do that would be for us to define sublime.kind reddish. Then the theme can decide how it should look. Yeah, exactly. Whether it, the theme decides and it defaults to pulling the reddishest, the color most red out of the current color scheme, which I guess it kind of does now, sort of, except that it's not actually, definitely a neat little thing. We need to add a format here too. The level of functionalities that have been, added for making displays nicer is so good to see. Redist, yeah. I may have, anytime I play with ish colors, anytime, 100% of the time, I want to test it with red, and I always spell it with two D's, and it doesn't work every single time. Even when I'm thinking in my head, okay, only put one D in here, I want to put red dish as if it's a bowl and not it's just a color that's kind of red. Maximum red. I'm guessing most themes haven't customized the colors and are using the default theme rules. I'm guessing, yeah. I've had a couple of questions about people that wondered how I got those colored dots to be next to things in the sidebar, and it's because they're using a theme that's way old and it doesn't have rules for that. But I would have thought that those were extrapolated in, but there are some theme stuff is, one of those areas where I'm very sketchy. Um, da, 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 we want, the first thing is view count. Incidentally, I'm really digging on this Dotty library came up with that I found, um, that allows you to get sub keys in dictionaries a lot easier. Looks a lot nicer to the eye. Yeah, I would have thought that the default rules apply too. I'm suspecting that someone may have had some weird stuff, but it seemed like the sort of thing that would have been implemented to make sure that it works for everybody. Um, Yeah, that'll go. Maybe we'll indent this one. Oh, no. The next thing we want is like count. And could have made that a little bit smarter. Dislike count. Oh, what did I do? Oh, comma. Pardon me. Let's see. Byron asked, "Hello, Byron. Are those Nendoroid on the shelf in the background?" That depends. What's a Nendoroid? Also, which shelf? I have the nerdy shelf of doom over here, and then there's sort of a table behind me that has a Lego-y type jiggy on it too. But the name Nendoroid doesn't necessarily twig a bell for me. Did I reload that? Details this bad boy. Uh-oh. Oh, did I forget to add it to the thing? I did, didn't I? That was in this one. When we ask for the playlist count, ask for statistics in the full details. The one on the left, they're kind of similar to pop funks, but more anime ornament. Or the one on the oh, hello. Without nicknames, it's kind of tricky to pull things. Uh, is is this the left you mean? I'm all confused because the camera is like, yeah. There's a lot of Funko Pops along all of those areas and some brick heads. Those little guys there are Funko Pops too. I think they all are actually. Yeah. This particular shelf here is the shelf for Futurama. The shelf up there is Bob Ross. This one's Rick and Morty. And then there's one over there for Back to the Future, and one for Mario, and one for Link. Not that I have a certain bent towards various Nintendo properties, mind you. Ashwin says I should really getting into themes more. That's perhaps the only thing I haven't done correctly. Every attempt ends up uglifying Sublime even more. Yeah, color schemes I'm a lot better with, although I'm not that great at figuring exactly what looks good. But themes, that's a little bit of a oh look, there's the timer. Themes themselves are one of those areas where I think I have a handle on stuff, and then I plunk something in, and then like nothing happens, or things just go wildly doolally, and I'm like, well, okay, maybe I don't understand that as much as I thought I did. Can't believe I called Funko Pops Pop Funks. Oh, thank you very much. We have quite a fair number of those things. How many Bob Ross Funko Pops does a person need? I'm guessing 3 because in one of them he has a squirrel, and in one of them he's wearing a hat, and in one of them he's not. The Winnie the Pooh ones are surprisingly expensive. Hmm. There's the other timer thing. I wonder if the timer only tricks if there's a certain amount of chat in the last. I thought it was lines of chat, but it must be lines of chat in the last X minutes or something. Anyway, there's a link to the repository where the code that we're working on tonight will eventually get pushed up. The real question is, how many do they make? I think that is a very large, perhaps infinite number. You could make yourself really unhappy by going on, say, Amazon and looking up Funko Pops for things. Some of them were absolutely required, like Back to the Future. Yes, yes, I do need a Doc and a Marty and a DeLorean Funko Pop for Marty to stand inside of. Oh yeah, also there's a Doctor Who shelf back there too. I'm a classic Doctor Who fan. Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor. That's my Doctor Who because that's who was the Doctor way back when I originally found the show when I was a wee lass. So I have him and K9 and a little Funko Pop TARDIS. I should I should grab some pictures at some point to share in the stream. Unfortunately, the webcam cable is only long enough to go to about where my face is right now before things crap out. Also, it's kind of dark in here right now. Um, that's looking like it's actually doing something. 300 and ooh, there's 5 dislikes on the Terminus video. Oh my goodness. Let's see if that's correct. For shame. Is this the one where someone said no? There's one of the videos on the channel where someone commented that said, "Hey, can you believe that there's this many likes and no dislikes?" And I was like, "Tss, quiet, man. Don't prompt the internet to go and poke buttons. You just leave the internet to do what the internet's gonna do." This should work for this one too, right? No, this one should fail. This one should fail hardcore. Yeah, cool. Okay, so uh, we want to snag this from here and put it in here because we want this one to do the same thing as that one. Probably accidental. I gotta say, things have been sort of getting slightly more popular as time goes on. As far as I've ever been able to tell, I'm the only person on YouTube that's making Sublime Text videos that aren't the 5 packages that you should install if you're using Python or web development or stuff like that. And they all tend to be sort of older, or these are the top packages. Uh, that's not really a niche that I want to get into because, clearly I use like 6 packages. I'm not really an authority on what you should be using if you want to be using any particular thing, which is why I decided to focus more on just helping people use the thing and customize it and work it because there doesn't seem to be any information on that. And I think people are I'm starting to get more attraction in that area. I think YouTube's algorithm has realized that I have some sort of, I don't know, like expertise or reputation or something based on all the videos on my channel being about Sublime Text. Uh, and anytime someone searches, if they watch one of those videos, they tend to maybe watch another one. I think I remember one of the bajillion things I read about how to get your videos watched on YouTube was information on stuff like that. And I think there was a mention of me needing an expertise. I can't remember what the actual term was, but it slowly learns over time that when people search for a term, you your videos are filling a niche that other channels that are just sort of more scattershot or more broader in scope don't necessarily hit. So, well, maybe that's doing something for me. And this should work cool too. Right on. So it's kinda. Do we want commas in here between the things like one views, no likes, no dislikes? I mean, I'm surprised there's as many as one view on the end card template. As a matter of fact, that doesn't technically even need to be there anymore because now I have plenty of videos that have end cards on them that I can pluck one from. Uh, I very much dislike videos about picking packages. I do as well. I mean, mostly because those sorts of videos seem to be very opinionated about they assume if you're doing this then you must work like me and this is the thing that I like so you must like it too, and I don't find that necessarily. The closest I come to that with videos on the channel was the package parade where I just listed some packages like package control and package dev and override audit, and for these are packages that probably everybody is using or should be using, at least in the case of package control and the other thing. And a lot of the early videos on the channel for the first year or so were sort of completely molded around how frequently I saw people asking particular questions, and you can provide an answer that is the shorter version. And then if you want more details, this video has all that for you to make it like a reference place. Because apparently I like looking at my face in my screen more than I like writing something out and linking to text. I don't know. I've always wanted to sort of be a teacher helper type of thing. I get a lot of enjoyment out of helping the community and the Stack Overflow and in the Discord and so on. So making videos on YouTube just seemed like a great fit to fall into that particular range of things. Things that occur for the display here are uh, should there be commas between these sections? One view, comma, this many likes, comma, this many dislikes, or one view, and then, I mean, like this is kind of okay. I kind of don't like the idea that the word views is pluralized for one or zero. It should be one, it should be view for one view and views for everything else, but that's super nitpicky. Maybe there could be extra sorting, sort everything by title, and then for things that sort primarily by title and then by something else. Would that actually do anything? Probably wouldn't, would it? I wonder why one of these live streams is public and one of them is not. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Hmm. In any case, the last commit that we did was refactoring the quick panel to do stuff. Did we do anything in that regard here? We fixed a bug in that. We changed that and this. So we didn't actually, this isn't part of that particular refactor, although we don't want this hunk. We know that part works now. Let's add in an extra fix for this. Fix playlist contents issue, and we'll stage that file up. And I'll move it down in the list in a minute. Let's also, okay, those things need to be there. So please specify the kind information used to represent videos in the quick panel when choosing, just so we know a little bit about what they are. The kinds here are chosen primarily for their color defaults in adaptive. Certainly the default colors for these is probably what everybody's using for most things, because Sublime Text, well, yeah, I guess they would have to use these rules, because what theme out there would have rules for Sublime Text 4 when it's not that public yet, right? I never noticed before that the list of changes actually goes in, oh, I thought I had more changes than that, to be perfectly honest. Like I thought there were some over here. Did I accidentally just blow away some changes that I didn't mean to? That would be unfortunate. Oh no, I did, didn't I? Pretty sure this is the thing that had the magic in it. Back it up. There was more stuff in that hunk than I expected, wasn't there? Phew. Okay, the other thing we want to fix is that. Okay, now I wish I had saved that thing. I'll type that again. These specify the kinds to be used to classify videos in the quick panel when choosing the kind. There, the colors they have. The spelled correctly, Jiggy. All right, so we definitely don't need that. How gross is this? Whoops, that's not doing what I thought. That's not doing what I think it's doing. Oh, I should have spelled that differently. Sublime Text 4 out? No, but if you are a member of the Discord, there are beta versions. It's not publicly announced on the web page yet, though. Still under active development. But that is what I'm using here right now. Although that gives us extra functionality, like the ability to display more things in the quick panel, which is one of the things that we're fiddling with tonight here in the channel. I wonder if I should, kind of like a beta, yeah. It's a private beta, semi-closed beta. As long as you have a license for Sublime Text 3, you can totally take it for a spin and play with it as much as you like. It's just not on the Sublime Text page for download. You have to go into the Discord, and in the announcements channel, there's a download link. If we looked at this, first of all, I'd probably go blind, but this is the list of all of the things that have changed since Sublime Text 3's last version. And yes, as Byron is mentioning there, it's in beta, but it's quite stable. I've been using it as my main editor since last November. Uh, in memory, there's like a lot of changes that have gone into this thing. In my memory, there's only been I think like two issues where there was something wrong with the build that caused it to crash, and there was like a new fix out to fix that problem like the same day or early the next day. So yeah, as you can see, there's a couple of things that have changed. uh, so yeah, if you're like a fan of Sublime, I would recommend checking it out. Byron says, if your license isn't bought within 3 years, though, you can't upgrade once it's out. Yeah, it's a development build right now, so you need a license, and the licensing scheme is changing so that instead of purchasing a license and getting all versions at that same major version as updates for free, the license has changed so that you get updates for 3 years from the point at which you purchased the license. We don't know when it's going to be made publicly available, and that was a M1 chip. Mac chips need hardware rendering turned off right now. There is the list of significant changes. I mean, people keep asking that. The syntax highlighting system is very much improved. It's got the ability to backtrack now, is one thing. If you use Windows, you can have a custom title bar. The API is greatly extended. There's a new version of Python that's installed, a lot faster. You can make text glow. I'm a fan of that one. All of my Python function-y things here are glowing. That's something that you can do here. You can also make things underlined as well. HTML sheets. There's like a lot of things. I think if you look in the Discord, there's like a pinned link to the changelog post that has the scroll of that big long thing that I just threw down in the list. Let's do this. Map one of the kind values to map YouTube video privacy values to one of our kind values. And there we go. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. So that looks a little bit nicer. Yeah, what would honestly be nice is something similar to VS Code Atom for package discovery. Yeah, I guess there's sort of the facility now to be able to kind of do something like that with mini HTML and being able to click a link that runs a command. I suppose in theory, package control or some other package could get the list of packages, display it in a nice web page in an HTML sheet, and provide a link which, when you click it, executes the package control command to install said package. No. I've always liked the discover packages command, which takes you to the place where you can search. But maybe there could be augmentations made to the web page to make searching a little bit better in some fashion. I am not a user interface kind of guy though, so I defer to people that know what they're talking about for stuff like that. Can't remember what I was going to do there. Okay, so that's the link jiggy here. I think that's probably as nice as that's going to get. This could be a little less crunky if we didn't want it to splork out over there. No, that was the bot reporting something. Oh, the other thing to mention about Sublime Text 4 is it's actually just Sublime Text because it's not going to have a version number when it comes out. But we tend to refer to it as Sublime Text 4 to differentiate it from the existing one. That still works, right? All right. Double check that if I list videos, I guess that's a good name for that command. I was pondering the idea of changing the name of it to be something else like copy video link or something. But should I sort the list first by privacy setting and then by title so that all the videos of the same type float to the top, or by view count? I don't necessarily know that it really helps at all to have the list of videos be sorted by title when you have a lot of them, and titles are sort of an ephemeral thing that are to 50% tell you what's inside the video and 50% gain some attention. What are the other things? I can't remember. You can't see what I'm doing here. Hang on a second. Sort by date added. That All the crosses should have no numbers at all. I probably zoomed that out a little more than I technically needed to. Let's do that. But I was thinking, I could swear there was something in here that had whether or not this was a live stream, but I might be thinking of something else that I was looking at. Content rating, no, no, no. Let me just click this link over here for a second. Oh, you have to specifically ask for that, I guess. It's in. There's one in snippet. Let's look in snippet. Well, it says there's live broadcast content is I think the thing I was looking at. Let's see what we got here. I'd sort by view count and then maybe you could work out a filter system. Yeah, I'm not sure. You can only filter by the first item in the list, which is the title of the thing. So there's that. I like the idea of sorting by the added date. That sort of puts things in a chronological order, which for most purposes would keep the videos in the same general order that they're in by title anyway, since they all have those prefixes on the front, but not all of them. What did you mean by all the crosses should have no number at all? Like the X for dislikes? Which is not really, I mean, this is check marks and X's isn't really the greatest way to implement something like that. But the list of things was, I mean, I guess maybe these ones for, these are ballot box vote things. Sort by view count is kind of an idea. I mean, then we get to see the Terminus videos at the top and it would be less depressing to look at stuff. We were looking in snippet live broadcast here. So that is none for this one. And, oh, I guess if we actually looked over here, live, what's it called? Where'd it go? There. Is an upcoming active live broadcast or none if the video is not on app. So it's either live, it's upcoming, or it's not. Okay, that's in the realms of things that are interesting, I'm gonna say none. I guess I probably search for the same thing here. Boop. The live streaming details object contains metadata about a live video broadcast. This will only be present in a video resource if the video is an upcoming or completed live broadcast. Oh, so which part is that in? Does it just automatically show? Is that one of the things that you can request? Let's see. Let's close that for a second. Live streaming details. Is that the thing that I just said out loud? Yes, so that would be one extra thing to be able to grab, just to be able to put a little live next to something to let you know that it was a live video. I'm not sure how much I care about that in the general sense. Let's first, well, actually, let's try this. Mm, 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 mm. Reload, list videos. Do. That seems kind of harder to read at that font size. So I think I kind of like that better as an option. seems to be a little bit more readable. Is there something we could put in that second line besides just the link to the video? Let's say to forestall any particular errors, like the ones we just had. Put myself back down there for the time being. The things we're doing are we'll stage that, and yeah, the two. Oh, I guess this part not strictly needed. Did that just clobber more stuff than I intended? Which video was that in? That's in video details. Whoops. Definitely have that. Yeah, that's the only thing, right? That had to change? Yeah, all right. I mean, I could verify that by saying that the only thing that changed there is there. So theoretically, that one's the same. Stage that too. And say augment quick panel display. And then just for the purposes of this, oops, boop. Yeah, I like that one. Before we started fiddling with stuff. Now this code is safe, and when these commits get pushed up after the live stream, they will have better commit messages than these one little things that explain better what they are. But you don't need to see me typing that sort of thing. I can't imagine this is that interesting in that particular case. Thing to look at here is can you make the pop-up display next to the quick panel or no? Cooperate with autocomplete makes that seem like no's. Because that would be kind of neat to have a little bit of that going on. To actually throw some of the description in. Is the link actually too important? If you use a copy function, you know what you're getting anyways. True that. Yeah, that was really only there for historical reasons previously. Unless you could click on it to actually copy the link instead of going to the link, which is something that I could include here. But the idea of this command is to allow you to do that anyway. I'm not sure what I would put in there, though. I mean, technically nothing. What happens if you don't actually include that in the... let's close those ones for the time being. I assume you have to provide something for that because it's one of the items in the quick panel things. I don't actually have that in here, do I? No, I do not. Getting that new stuff into the documentation in Snappy is one of those things that's been on my list for a while, but it's not going to happen during Devember. I think it'd be better to just make a separate command. Yeah, technically that's what this one does. When you pick list videos and pick one, all it's doing is actually copying the link. But I called it list because it shows you a list of videos. So yeah, probably that could be changed because the other one that does the same sort of thing is the details, in which case you actually get to see actual information about the thing. And there could be more information in this panel too, like the likes and the dislikes and stuff, or maybe make that visible in a menu or something. Not a fan of that thumbnail, I'll tell you that. This is the reason why this particular video is unlisted and was only ever linked. So let's see. The number of times in my Unix life I've run a grep and forgotten to provide a file spec and then just sat there waiting for it to slowly scan files only to realize it was waiting for me to enter some input for it to actually grep inside of is too damn high. Oops. I'm guessing you need to provide all of the items. I guess not. It could just be an empty string, right? So in theory, whoops. Come on, man. Well, that makes the list a lot tighter that way. I can't think of anything else to display underneath it but a link, then I tend to agree that it's probably not as useful as it could be. Oh, I just realized something though. I can't remember. What's the new thing called? Placeholder. Oh wait, do we want that to go that way? Or do we want it to go the other way? When we call select video, yeah, let's put it at the end. Whoops. And I already forgot what that's called. Placeholder. Yeah, I should have known. I named the variable that for that reason. Yeah. We're going to add a placeholder equals that in so that we can do something like this. So when we choose the command, we get to see exactly what it is that this thing is going to do, which seems like it makes more sense for this. And then in this one, this could be what, view. For now, view video details. The ultimate goal is to be able to take this data and push it back up the other way. Kind of like that. When do I plan to finish the stream? I'm thinking probably sometime in the next 20 minutes or so. Normally I would only go 2 hours, but I've been having a lot of fun going longer on this one. It's fun to fiddle around with stuff. So I've been going a little bit later, but I do need to eventually get to bed. I've been staying up too late for the last little bit in an unfortunate kind of way. Okay, so let's say that. So yeah, I would say probably in the next 20 minutes by 11 o'clock my time, because it's 10:37 right now. Probably when we're gonna call it quits, unless I run out of stuff to fiddle with or I break something too much and decide to run away in a panic. I don't think that would happen though. I'm going to very quickly say that if we were to stage this change to select video callback to remove the video link, I kind of like that looking this way and having that and that and that. We can amend that previous commit because we probably just want it to look like that. So that seems cool. Next, Sort by view count, sort by publish date. Is this sort of string the kind of string that would natively sort properly? $6:37 where you are right now? Is that AM or PM? It is very easy to just sort of get lost in fiddling with code, which is part of the reason why I've been having a hard time going to bed at a decent hour lately. Feeling, you be like, I'm gonna go to bed, but I got this. I guess got to figure out this problem. Oh, you know what? There's this other thing I wanted to look into too, and then before you know it, boom. Um, AM. Ah, there you go. Don't tell me you haven't been to bed yet. 6:37 is a little early to have stayed up all night. I used to be like a real night owl before I got super old instead of just merely old. Now I seem to be able to subsist okay on 6 hours of sleep. And then during the day, I just sort of fall asleep in the chair a little bit. Signs of impending old age. Da, da, da. That still seems to be cool. Rock that Casbah. What was the thing I was gonna do? It's gonna be in this thing, just to play with some stuff. What exactly does the key parameter to sort it actually do? He asked, not remembering the terribleness. Ah, ah. Thank you. Kind of just on the evening part-time uni work vibe, so normally exist at night and sleep until 1 to 5, depending on the day. I live in Vancouver, BC, the west coast of Canada, so Pacific time, so it's a 10:40 here. The rest of my company is on the east coast in Ontario, in Toronto, so they're 3 hours ahead of me. Uh, Way back, it's got to be 16 years now. We were working on a project to handle a new kind of data file, and they would only provide this file, the vendor, at a certain time of the day, and you couldn't get it after that. So for testing purposes, because I was in a different time zone, it was tricky for them to be able to process a file and go through and say, here's the parts where the mappings didn't work, and then have me fix it in time for the next file to arrive. I guess one came in the morning and one came in the evening, because of the way the times worked out. So for the period of that project, I worked on Toronto time, so I was getting up ridiculously early and working, and then I would be done at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was aces. But then people started taking advantage of the fact that they knew that I normally would work until 5, and then I ended up basically working a longer day. So after that project was done, I went back to going the other way. Indeed, I am Canadian. In case you couldn't tell by my harsh accent and the way I say a boot and such. You can't tell, but there's just piles and piles of maple syrup laying all around. Key specifies a function of one argument that's used to extract a comparison key from each list element. Hmm. How the hell is this sort working? Is it actually working? Because if the key is supposed to be a function and I'm just returning a string. Ah, you almost made me look to see if there's a moose behind me. There are actually several in the house. My wife is not Canadian. She's from the United States. She's from Wisconsin, America's Dairyland. So, for the couple of years that we were together before we got married and she moved up here, it sent her like a lot of Canadian presents, like a moose and a Mountie, and she would come to visit. And in downtown Vancouver, next to the waterfront where the cruise ship terminals and such are, there's a Canadiana store that has all kinds of Canada themed tourist things. So you can, run out, get something, and go back. They had a gigantic life size Mountie outside. She got herself per picture taken with the Mountie. If Canadians are stereotypical in their like of hockey, beer, and maple syrup, I'm the opposite of that because I don't like any of those things. Maple syrup's okay in some instances, but nah, on the whole, not a super fan. Mm-mm-mm. Let's say we swap this to int. Don't do that. This is so wholesome. Glad you managed to make the longer distance work. Tried it myself, but it didn't work out. That's yeah, it's we were actually, I guess, it seems to be like a fairly common thing nowadays to meet somebody. Basically, we met on the internet in IRC of all things, which is something that's so long ago that a lot of people are sort of unfamiliar with what IRC actually is. Uh, back right now, that seems to be like a common way to use apps and the internet and meet people from different area, other parts of the country, different parts of the world, and get together. Back when we did it, it was still that thing where when you told your family that you totally were going to visit somebody in another country and you really liked them, you got the weird squinty stink eye. So we really blazed a trail. What we were together, well, I mean, we've been together for like a long time now. We were married 2004 to now, 16 years, but we were together for 2 years, 2 and a bit years before that. Meeting a girl in IRC. Yeah, imagine that in 2020. If you happen to get on IRC and you find a girl in there that you like, keep her because she's obviously a gigantic nerd. You nearly got beat by the girl from New Jersey. Do, 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 loo, loo. I think I sorted that I mean, it worked. All of the least viewed videos are at the top of the pile now. How do you reverse the sort? Oh, you just add comma reverse to the end. Right on. Stop doing that. I want this thing. Is that going to do what I want? No, of course it's not going to do what I want. Why do I have key equals if that's actually what the thing actually is? Let's just take that part out and then that'll work, right? Oh, that would be an issue. Doop. Oh, I think I just discovered why I had a key argument there. All right. Is that the array slice that puts the list backwards? Is that faster than trying to say this? Or just a shorter way of doing it? Woo, look at that. I'm looking a lot better now. If you want to have your YouTube video seen, make it for one of the most popular packages on package control, and then somehow fall backwards on your butt into the author of said package, providing a link to your video in his README. Foop, foop. Build systems are very popular as well. Well, from an ego standpoint, I like this particular display better than sorting it by the title. What if we did this? Maybe we don't try to turn the date into an int, huh? Maybe that's a better way to go. Hmm. Well, that's unfortunate. Did I spell it wrong? Or do not all. Yeah, I'm going to say this doesn't work because not all videos have been published. Private videos probably don't have a publish time. I like how you annotate each video title with metadata. Maybe a possible filter. That's part of the reason why I did that. Yeah. So that, well, again, the original intention for things on the channel was, here's the list of videos on build systems. It actually used to be a lot more obnoxious than it is now, and I trimmed a bunch of them back. But I kind of like having them in there. It makes it easier theoretically, if you're looking at videos on the channel, to gauge what relative order they came in, as if you couldn't tell by the elevated quality, like being able to actually see me in the foreground instead of the background being super dark. Okay, that is not something that's going to work, but I kind of like this one as an option. But yeah, this is indeed one of the things I do. I could say quick tips 11, or if I want to look at plugin 101, that just gives me those videos, which never seem to end up in alphabetical order, or previously they didn't seem to be in order that way. But that is indeed part of the reason for putting that in there. They also used to have what the actual thing meant in there too, because I didn't think anybody would actually want to watch them otherwise, and it was easier to find them. One of the issues I have now is uh, lately I've been using, pardon me, titles more like a traditional YouTube title that's supposed to, if you want somebody to watch a video, it should have a title that's intriguing or something, and not just, like scopes and scope selectors. If that was a jazzier title, maybe it would have more than 603 views, because people asking about scopes is something that happens all the time. It's one of those things that, I've slowly been getting better at over time. That and, actual content inside of said video. Uh, I think I kind of like this. Is it worth having a setting for this? Is the Plugin 101 series about looking at building plugins based on? Yeah, technically. It's taken a fair few videos to get enough information out about all of the different aspects that only now are we actually getting into actually doing something. But like a whole video series, the whole thing is like, here's the terminology that you would use. This is a view, this is a window, and list input handlers do this, input handlers do this. This is how you do a list, this is how you do a text. Event listeners, what are they for? What are the various events and what do they do? So there's like a lot of that sort of thing, and now we've got enough sort of background information that we can actually look at the things that we're doing this month for Devember are actually looking at, okay, so you know what a view is and you know what a region is and you know what a point is. If you're writing a command, you're probably going to want to grab some text out of the buffer. How do we do that? How do you put text in? Those common things that you tend to need to do a lot. Now we actually have the ability to say what those are because we have all of that other information to refer back to. And Ashwin says, I wonder, is there a good way to display total stats for a particular category of videos? Uh, now, yeah, one of the things that I've been thinking of, um, right now, when I pick, like, say, list videos here in this one or the other one, what this is actually doing, and we can actually see it in the list here, the whole list of things. It stopped displaying things because all of the results of requests are very aggressively cached. So if you ask for something a second time, the exact same way, you just get the exact same result back. But the first thing it has to do is get information about your channel, which is going to give you this information. And one of the things in here is the list of playlists. It's in here somewhere. Feature channels. Oh man, there we go. Under the content details related playlists, it plucks the special playlist ID for videos that you've uploaded, right? And then after that, it can get the information. It gets the information for the channel, so it gets that information. Then it gets the contents of that playlist to get all the videos. Then it gets the details for all the videos, and then we go into this. But this is only one playlist. I got a lot of playlists on my channel. I should actually have a link for opening your channel page in here. How much time we got? 5 minutes? That's probably not going to work. I guess the easiest way to do that would be to actually, uh, oh, see if when that link was in there, that would totally work. Let's click this. So there's like a terminus video here. So if we look at playlists that I have in here somewhere, now I have a bunch of these things. Is there actually a? There's not, is there? There's just a list of them. I guess you have to go through the other part. But I have like live coding. That's these videos here. Plugin 101, all those videos. These are all playlists with dedicated things. I really think that I should probably have a thing in here that lets you list playlists and then get a link to those as well. So I could say, for example, Byron said might have to look at it because there's some stuff I want to do with setting up something like Facebook to do with atom and nucleotide. And here we go. These are all of the various things, getting platform information, terminology, one of the better ones, I think, because a lot of things that people has questions about plugins is, that. So that's the thing to do here as well. And if we could get information on this, then we could indeed do exactly that thing that you just said there, Ashwin, display stats for that. They would have to get the contents of all videos in those things. But and this sort of plays into something else that we'd like to do here. The the simplest way to get the contents of a playlist, I guess we should probably be looking at the original thing here, is if you invoke this method to make the playlist thing and you don't say full details, or sorry, when you say full details, all it asks for is content details. The only thing you get out of your playlist is literally just this. So this is the video ID and the publish date is the only information you get. Getting that information is ridiculously fast. If the first thing it did was get the channel information and then download just this content details, you would know every video that appears on your channel, whether it's private, public, or unlisted. And then it does the thing where it grabs right now it grabs in this part here all of the details. So it's actually making a list. It says videos list, but this is actually getting information for a list of videos, right? 50 of them at a time. See previous rant earlier in the stream. So you get a bunch of these. Each one of these things is one video. This example only has one. This is the basically the full details of all of the stuff. If this was gathered once and then captured and indexable in a way where you could just say, give me the information on this, and it could pluck it out directly, which isn't something that it can do right now because it remembers the request you made and not the data that came back, then it would be really easy to say, show me, get the contents of the plugin 101 playlist, and it would say, sure, here's the 15 video IDs that are in there, and it would take practically no time. Then we already have cached the information about that video to get things like the view count, and it could totally have underneath it, along with being able to give you the link the way this thing is, that ability to um, display those sorts of details as well, which is probably something we could, work on maybe Thursday or something. Most of the plans that I had for this have been floating around in my head for a year. I didn't actually write any of them out to have a full list of what I wanted to do, but they revolve around cleaning up what was already here, like adding that spinner that we didn't have before, making this whole thing work a little bit better, and also being able to take changes and send them up as well as just downloading them, which includes the ability to say create a new window and then have some command in here that would allow you to associate a video ID with this so that for videos that are currently processing that don't have any information yet, I could you know shoot data up, or I guess maybe once it starts uploading it's already added now. I think that's how that works now, but anyway, that's what I had planned. But yeah, that's things that make this a lot cooler for managing the channel to be able to get at that information. And with that, we are in fact at yawn 11 o'clock, so we should probably call it for this evening. However, don't forget we will be uh, live on Thursday as well at the exact same time. If you happen to be staying up late, if you happen to be in that part of a different part of the world, you can grab some information on that stuff as well. So we'll see you then. Remember, if you want to know when I'm going live, follow me on Twitter. Use the button down below, thumb, subscribe, share, ring the bell notification icon. Then YouTube will tell you when I'm going live. And at least for Devember, they are scheduled in advance. If you happen to be in the Discord, you might also notice my status changes to me being live streaming as well for the time being. And with that, until the next thing, if you maybe subscribe to the other channel, you can see the next plugin 101 video, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is going to actually be showing how to do some of the view stuff with regions that we talked about in the last video, like getting some of the information out. You can see me then. And until then, hello, Dylan. Happy to see you in the stream as well. We had practically all of the developers here. Yeah, so we will see you in the next live stream, and probably shortly in the Discord, because I can't stay away from that thing. But until the next one, Zodat Nerd asking you all to please have a sublime day, morning, afternoon, evening, week, year. I mean, it's got to get better than this one, right? It's got to get better than this one.